Hey guys, Manuj Aggarwal here. Today we have a very special guest. We'll be talking to Andre Popa. So Andre and I met last month at Steve's Rim's mastermind called the there we go. I already
Speakeasy.
lost it. Speakeasy. So I'm sorry. It's the weekend now.
It's okay. It's
So
okay. Steve is very forgettable. He's not that
yeah.
big of a deal, so that's why you're forgetting. It's like, what's his name? I don't know.
Exactly. So, and we had very interesting conversations. Andre has a very powerful story, so I'll set that up, but I'll let Andre sort of tell us a little bit about that. So, Andre has been an entrepreneur since he was 9, and recently he turned 18. So, he's been in the game for a while, and he has multiple businesses. One of them is dealing with mindset. So as we know, it is very critical, especially these days. How do you want to cultivate a positive mindset, which is very important for anything that you do, especially if you are in entrepreneurship. And not only that, he helps people build businesses, and these are high-end businesses, right, with a lot of high profile people, high volume and high value transactions. So we will let Andre sort of tell us a little bit about his journey and how he helps people, and then we'll dive into some more interesting conversations.
Thank you so much for having me. And we did meet in Las Vegas, about a month, 5 weeks ago now, when it was still okay to go to Vegas and be outside. It's changed so much.
Yeah.
So that was a phenomenal event. It was great meeting some great minds and like you, for example, and what you do for a living, and how you help people. So it's been just a phenomenal event. But to tell you guys about my story, I will start a little bit. I'll go back to communism,
Mhm.
and we'll back it up to basically 1979, when my family and I immigrated from Romania and came directly to Southern California without English, without any money. We were just, I guess, fresh off the boat, as the saying goes, but we were able to leave the country because of my father. And you think, well, how did your father get you guys out? But it's the story is amazing, because my father, before he was married, and this is now backing up to the Second World War, he was very anti-communist, and he was contracted, along with many other young people out of all the Eastern Bloc countries. They were contracted by the CIA. They were taken over to Austria, and they were trained on espionage for 18 months.
Wow.
And by the time all these kids are ready to rock and roll and go spy on the communists, the war was coming to an end, and the CIA said, here you go, and just handed all these kids over to the authorities. So everybody went to prison for life, right? Because it's high treason. Yeah. So everybody goes to prison for life. My father goes in for life. All of his buddies go in for life. And I'm chuckling at it, but it was a very traumatic situation for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
The stories out of prison, Romanian prison, are gory and gruesome, and the beatings they would get, the lack of food, the living conditions were just horrendous. So there are a lot of stories that my father left with us from those days. And but because, now fast forward to 14 years of prison time, now the CIA says, yep, we screwed up, makes a deal with the dictator of the country, and all these kids are let go. The ones that are still alive are able to walk, and they get out of prison. Then my father made friends in prison. One of his friends happened to live in Bucharest and had a daughter, 2 daughters. But my father goes to visit his friend that he met in prison, and then meets my mother, and the family life begins. He proposes immediately. They start making kids, me being one of them. And fast forward now to 1979, what used to take about 75 years, and listen to this crap, it used to take 75 years for any Romanian citizen to get a visa to be able to leave the country. If you're just like crossing the border into Bulgaria or Ukraine, you're 75 years to get a visa. So, which meant people didn't go anywhere,
Yeah.
right? It was, they were on quarantine. So, but because of the CIA situation back in the war, President Carter now gets involved in this 1979 and is able to get all these kids that were incarcerated back then for the country to let them leave. So we had a visa within a month. Wow. And again, what used to take 75 years, within a month, boom, stamp, we're leaving. We're going to Germany because that's where my father had friends. And literally 2 weeks before we're supposed to leave the country, my father gets a contact in Southern California saying, hey, we'll sponsor you guys because I guess you got to be sponsored. And literally we shifted from going to Hamburg, Germany to a little town called Pico Rivera, California. Mm-hmm. And that's how we came to America. The beginning was freaking amazing. We used to dumpster dive. We figured out that supermarkets would throw away their food, anything that was gone bad or it's got even if expiration date, they would throw in the trash. And we're like, holy Toledo, what are we talking about? They're throwing away food. And like back in Romania, we would have to stand in line every single day. Like the lines you guys see today at Costco, that was daily life for us in communism. So if you ever think like, oh my God, socialism's cool. Yeah, it's not. So that was the beginning. It taught me a big lesson though, because a trash can is technically where garbage goes into it, right? So it's the end of the life of something. But then there was good food that we would take home and eat dinner, lunch, breakfast the next day, etc. And what it taught me was that, man, in America, because I remember early on, it's like, man, in America, you can find food in trash cans. What else is possible? Right? That means sky's the limit. I can do anything. So that was just a mindset from early on. And America ever since has been just phenomenal for us. And became an entrepreneur early on. I've been in so many different types of businesses, got into the restaurant business when I was 25. That was phenomenal and crazy and stupid and all that fun stuff. But one thing that has kept me going through the years is mindset. Who we are as the human dynamic, who we are that shows up to everything in life. For me, that's everything. And I launched a brand around the human dynamic because I believe there's a badass inside of all of us. And the brand is called Badassery Factory. And today, that's my life. I help people become the next level and the best version of themselves in the journey of badassery. Okay. So that's me. Awesome. Thanks for asking.
Great story. Very inspirational.
Thanks, man.
All right, so let's dive in now. So, what was the effect of that early experience? You know, your father had his own life experience, but you know, when you came to America, dumpster diving and all that, and sort of almost hunting for your own survival, right? So, what effect, you know, as a 9-year-old, when you were going through that experience, what effect that experience had on your life later on, you know, in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of mindset, as you said, like, what did you gain out of that?
Gosh, so much, literally everything, because it was a foundation of what's possible in America, first of all, but second of all, it taught me that I have to take that step. Like, we know there's opportunity over there, but if I don't go get it, there's no opportunity. Like, you invited me to be on your show. Mm-hmm. If I didn't take that action, there's no show for me, at least. Right. So understanding that there's opportunity inside of every single problem. So a trash can, for example, is a problem, but there was opportunity inside. So it opened up my mind to look everywhere. There's opportunity literally everywhere. So through school, after high school, everything that I did was just always, I'm always open. Somebody brings me an opportunity, I take a look. Yeah. Even if it's not, my brain says, oh, it's not for you right now, you don't have time, I will take a look, because this universe, it's all abundant of energy and it is perfect the way it runs. So whatever information is coming to me, it's coming to me for a reason. So I stay open. So I guess that's I stay open and I take action. Yeah. That's the biggest takeaway from there.
Great. And then let's try to make a little bit of a contrast with people who actually may take that experience in a negative way. They may say, I mean, in most cases, let's
Sure.
face it, if somebody goes through that experience, they will take it as a negative experience for the rest of their life, right? So in your experience, like if there was somebody else who went through similar experience, what kind of what will they learn from that? I mean, what do they carry for the rest of their lives?
Yeah, so the phenomenal question, and here's why. Because going back to the human dynamic, we've all been through situations in our life, right? And my situation was mine. I'm sure your story is phenomenal. But here's what happens. The trash can thing, we'll call it a situation because it was just a situation. For me, today I look at it as this most phenomenal opportunity. But your point is, what if somebody took it in the opposite way, where, oh my God, it was so embarrassing. We ate food that was expired. We had to eat mold because there was mold on there and it caused me sickness, and people found out about it. And what happens is this: the food inside the trash can is what? Just a situation. How we perceive it is up to us. And now here's what happens. Because the human dynamic loves to create stories, right? Because the brain works through stories, questions, and photography, right? So we see things and then we ask things. So what happens is we take that situation called food in the trash can, and I had to go in, and somebody that creates negativity around it now created a story, and we create stories. We're very good at this around that situation called food in the trash can. So my story is, wow, phenomenal. Another person's story could be, I was so embarrassed. I was ashamed. I became trash.
Yeah.
And now your point is they carry that with them for the rest of their life as a story. Stories now, what they do, they become a pattern. They become a belief inside of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is all right here. It's in the torso area. That's subconscious mind, whether it's spirit, database, computer program, I don't care what you call it, the matrix. It's all inside here. So now there's a belief blueprint called, I was ashamed. I will never do that again. I'm not good enough. I was not good enough at the time because I had to eat out of a trash can. My parents were poor. They didn't have money. So all these stories around one little situation called a trash can and food inside of it. So now how does that show up in our life? How does that negative story, which becomes, I call it a brick, because it became a weight, something heavy. So now that person is carrying around this weight of, I'm not good enough. My parents didn't have money. We never had money. We were poor. We were shit. And they carry that brick with them throughout their life. And now when they go do things in life, they do life through this filter called the past.
Yeah.
But the past is what they created stories around, because the trash can was just a situation until that person judged that situation to say it was bad, it was nasty, it was horrible, it was shameful, it was embarrassing. So what we do, funny enough, what we do in Badassery Factory through our coaching programs and trainings and everything we do, we take people, because we all have stuff. I don't care who you are. You're going to have bricks. It's just the way life works. Somehow mommy said you're not enough. Daddy said you're fat. And then we take that stuff on. It's like, oh my God, I'm not good enough. I'm fat. I will never be skinny. And so we all have bricks. The point is, though, is to flip the script on those bricks into what was great about it.
Yeah.
So I'll take a person, for example, that's really ashamed, and shame is a very low vibration place. It's really it's on the way to someone becoming suicidal. So for example, we'll take that person and we'll go into what's great about the situation. So taking a person on a journey of, all right, cool. So you were ashamed, no money. I got the story. But now, was there anything positive around that situation? So through these exercises and meditation and going into gratitude about the positives there, we'll take somebody from shame to, oh my God, I'm the most blessed person on the planet because of that.
Yeah.
On and on and on and on. So great question. Keep them coming.
Yeah. No, I mean, I completely agree with you. I noticed these patterns, these stories in my own head and in other people's head. And and as you said, like, it becomes this chain link of stories that we live our life through. Like, whenever we are living, if we are living in the future, either in the future, like thinking about all the good stuff that's going to happen, or in the past that we keep thinking about all the bad stuff that happened to us, and we never think, okay, this is just a slice of time right now in this moment we are living. And as you said, like, we are here because we overcame so many challenges, and those challenges were meant to bring us here to this point. But somehow we look at the negatives and say, oh man, I could have been there. I missed out on all this. I'm such a bad person, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Now let me take it one step further. You were strong enough in your belief. You were able to carry through this and look at the positive side. But there is a huge number of people who are living their own negative stories, and who will very much like for you to join them in their misery. And they try to pull you down. They try to tell you, hey, what the heck are you talking about? Life is not perfect. Life is really bad. Life sucks. Look at me. Look at him. We're all, our lives suck. So how come your life doesn't suck? Your life sucks. Believe me. Come join me, and we'll comfort you. So did you have any of that experience, and how did you overcome that?
Absolutely. I think that's a big situation in today's mindset of the world. It's a poison. It's a disease in the human conscious level. And because we're not trained. We all went through school, but we have no idea how the human system works. We don't know about the energy body. We don't know about the chakra system. We don't know about the spirit. The religion will teach a couple of things, but we don't know the spirit. We don't know the subconscious mind. So because people are not trained in this, they come out of school, they come out of their parents' homes with anger, with resentment, with misery, which is all poison. And so basically what happens is, if I'm miserable, if I'm not happy, that's simply, and again, these are all energy levels. There's a great book by Dr. David Hawkins called Power versus Force. Anybody watching this, he explains, and he actually measures the levels of the human consciousness, and it goes all the way down from, like, shame is one of the most amazing low vibrations, all the way up to joy, which is the highest. It measures at 1,000. So today's human dynamic, so like love is halfway point is 500. So if love is at 500, and like death, suicide, shame, guilt are literally at the bottom, then you'll understand that the human consciousness today is vibrating at about 200 to 300. So if I vibrate at the level of 200 to 300, which means I'm not happy, I'm miserable, I'm angry at the world, angry at my parents, I don't think I'm enough, I'm a piece of shit. So from that perspective, I still want to survive. So the ego kicks in and says, I have to survive. And the way we survive when we're empty, we have to fill that with something. And the way we fill it is we look to spread our misery into other people. We take our poison and say, here, you have some too. And now you come in, and now we start talking about the drama and the problem. And look at Trump is doing, look at coronavirus. And now we have significance because now there's commonality. So that's why people look to drag people into their shit, because they need it. Yeah. They need it. It's a very dangerous place. But protecting yourself from it, when you see somebody coming at you like a truck with drama, run. Just run.
Yeah, that's the key thing. I think developing that kind of skill is the key thing to recognize when the negative energy is being, is being presented to you, is entering your psyche. I think if you stop it right there at the gate, at the entry point, that's when you can escape it. Because once it enters, it becomes a story. It's kind of like, it's so hard to get rid of that story. Like, even if you're conscious about that story and you're trying to get rid of, because the mind is, the more you tell it not to do something, it'll do the same thing over and over again.
That's right. That's right. But let me I want to touch on that, because So again, we have stories, and what you just said is that it's hard to get rid of that story, because when you look to get rid of it, it grows. It's more evident. It's more powerful. So what we focus on is what we get back. So if you're, and this is, again, nobody teaches us this shit, but what happens is energetically, life goes in the direction of our thoughts, words, and beliefs. So everything you think about, everything you talk about, and everything you believe, which really then turns into an emotion, which is energy in motion, that's what we get in life. So you look at your life and it's like, I have all these things and problems and good things and bad things. You created it. So if you are focused on, like you're saying, I gotta stop that thought, stop that story, turn it, I'm giving it power. I'm focused on it. So I'm giving fuel to the fire. So when you're looking to fix something or change something, you want to go to the opposite extreme. So if this story here doesn't support your health, for example, like the story is, I'm not good enough, what would be the opposite of that? And once you start focusing and creating a story around how I am enough and I'm amazing and I'm powerful and I'm genius and I'm sexy and I'm beautiful and I'm healthy, you start building stories here. Eventually the story of the positive, the thing that you want, will automatically replace the story that you don't want.
Awesome. That's great. All right, now let's dive into the entrepreneurial world. So you help people, first of all, get their mind out of the way, and then you help them build a business, build, as you said, like, bring out the best version of themselves. So let's dive into that a little bit. What does that entail? What do how can people achieve their goals using your methods? Or
Yep, great question. So Badassery Factory, our brand this is where we literally, and the whole concept of the factory, because we wanted to take people, just like you go into a factory and they make cars, they get all the parts, and all of a sudden you have a Lamborghini. We wanted to create that for human beings. Like, how do we take a human being and take them inside of a shop and just, beat them up and mold them up and empower them, love on them, and all of a sudden, boom, we got a Lamborghini, got a Ferrari. And that's the concept of the factory, is that we literally take human beings, put them through the factory, and they come out a badass. What we do, we offer coaching. So we have one-on-one coaching, where the coaching is really about somebody that is looking to grow. And to some people that may be like, well, yeah, of course I want to grow, but what does that mean? So we look for blockages, like, really high end people that are like, man, I made this much money, I've done this, I've done that, but I hit a ceiling, I'm stuck. Why? Or I'm making millions, but it goes away. Where's my money problem? Or it could be relationships, like, man, I'm on my second marriage, and it's about, she wants to leave me. So relationships. So patterns, we look for bricks, and we flip the script on the bricks, and this is how we're able to get people into their next level of success and what we call happy and free. Because the goal of this whole life, I don't care if you got money, no money, spouse, no spouse, nothing matters outside of being happy and free, because you can have billions.
Yeah.
If you're not happy and free, you ain't got shit. It makes sense. So in the factory, we have one-on-one coaching. We offer group coaching, where it's a Zoom environment where we literally, I had one session this morning before this, and they're just powerful, man. Really, really powerful. Like, there's growth in that 1 hour. Really cool stuff happens. And I'm very passionate about it. So for me, it feeds me. Like right now, talking about it, it makes me happy, because I love getting people into their next level of what I call God, right? Because as long as we're stuck in pain, that's not God. So moving people closer to that God essence, energy, universe, whatever you want to call it, that's for me a joy. So then we have courses that we're launching soon. The courses are literally just sort of pay to play, where we're going to have a course on anxiety, panic, depression, and suicide prevention that should launch in about a week and a half. Then we will have courses on how to launch, build, and scale up any business, because business is business. It doesn't matter. You're still looking to create some kind of an exchange. It doesn't matter what the product is. Doesn't matter where you're at in the world. The principles are identical. So those courses are launching soon. I'm also a public speaker, but not until this virus goes away, because we're stuck. Damn it. So it's our message is literally to spread love around people that want to grow. That's really the big message. And outside of all that, so listen, anybody watching this, and I'll give you guys, there will be a video on anxiety, panic, depression, etc. If you text the word badass to 38470, 38470, the word badass, it'll ask you for your email. So this way you can get emails from us on whatever we do. But more importantly, it's going to give you a link to the video that I just put out 2 days ago. For anybody interested in that, go get it. And then we also are in the CBD business. And in the CBD business, this is a global movement. And we help people set up their own online stores, if you will, where it's like an affiliate program, if you will. And they don't touch any product. They don't touch anything. Everything gets drop shipped to their customers. But this is a way for them to start making money in the CBD trend, because it's the hottest trend on the planet. And more so today, with everybody being at home, everybody's looking to make money from home. So it's just a beautiful, wonderful thing.
Awesome. Great. I want to circle back and touch upon one important point that you made, which is, when you said you look at their entire life history, you look at, whether there's any marital problems, if there any lack of love, any of this negative emotion.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, including me, for the longest time, did not have any inkling that these things are linked. Like, meaning we always are trained to think our professional life is very different than our personal life. We just say, whatever happens at home, I have a fight with my wife, I'm just going to go to work and make more money. And, I'm going to forget about whatever happened at home. That's my way of coping with things. Or I'm going to go with the buddies, get drunk and just forget about whatever happened, right? And so people think that they can address these problems, these fundamental problems, by drowning themselves in work, alcohol, drugs, whatever.
Absolutely.
But what do you like? Why do you think that is important to look into that rather than just work on helping them make money? Because ultimately, most people just focus on that.
Yeah. So remember, the concept in this life is to be happy and free, right? So if there's a problem at home, you're not happy and free. You're going to make more money. That's not going to make you happy and free. So the whole journey of everything that we do is to get people to that place of, can I cuss here? Can I use the F word?
Yeah, we used it a few times already.
So basically, our goal is to get people to a place called zero fucks. Mm-hmm. So, because that's literally a neutral existence. Mm-hmm. When there's negativity, that's holding somebody in a poisonous state, right? We talked about that, and then you look to get other people to come in with you, and let's talk shit. But and remember that when we're in that miserable state, that unhappy, anger, resentment, whatever it may be, we look now for other things, outside things, because we don't want to do the work inside. So we look for outside things that will fill the gaps of the pain and the void. And I'm not loved. My wife doesn't love me. She doesn't want me. She wants, whatever the stories are. Although that the belief system is in the chest. So now most people will say, fuck that. I'm going to make more money. $1 million will fix this. And then they go do that. Mm-hmm. But things at home got worse because they didn't work on themselves. The power is inside of us. So when we look to fill the gap and fill the voids with external things like alcohol, drugs, and that's why there's so much addiction today. It's because people are not happy and free. So they take pills, they drink, they overeat, they get addicted to emotions, they get addicted to drama, and they talk shit. And this is the consciousness of the world today, but it's the wrong direction. So the only way to change in the direction of happy and free is to work on yourself and get out of the miserable states and get into positive states that will now bring you the things that you want.
Awesome. Great. And now let's bring it to our current situation. Things have changed radically over the past few weeks.
Yeah.
In your opinion, how do you think this will affect, first of all, our collective consciousness? Because never in the history of our world we have stopped the entire sort of economic production
Yep.
around the globe. We have been locked down in our homes, and isolation is one of the most cruel punishments, right? Like even people in supermax prisons, if they cause trouble, they are put in isolation. So here, like billions and billions of people are in isolation. So
Yep.
how do you see this will unfold?
Lord, it's a loaded topic, because the first thing you have to look at is, all right, we have how many deaths from this virus, and you compare that number to last flu season, and this thing's a joke. You compare that to the last 30 days. I'm going to give you some stats. From the beginning of the year to the end of March, the first 3 months of this year. Watch this really quickly, because it's weird. So we technically have 35,000 deaths from this virus, but now reports are coming out that 99, like Italy just put out a report saying that 99% of the people that we thought passed from this virus, they had terminally ill. They were terminally ill prior. So they had cancer, they had heart disease, they had heart attacks, they had. So anyway, so that number goes to shit quick. But watch what happens. So that's 35,000. So we're shutting down the world for 35,000 deaths. Seasonal flu, 118,000. We're not shutting down the world for the flu, only for this virus. Malaria, 240,000. This is just this year, the first quarter. Traffic accidents, 330,000. HIV/AIDS, 400,000. Alcohol, 600,000. Smoking, 1.2 million. Cancer, 2 million. Communicable disease, I don't even know what that is, 3.1 million. Abortions, 10 million. So you got to say, what the fuck? Right? So what is it all about? Regardless of what it's all about, I believe there's some really cool stuff happening, and why it's happening. I believe the global military forces are cleaning up a lot of bad things and bad people. I don't know if that's a conversation for this time, but what's happening in the human trafficking world, just to go a little bit there, that's why the borders are shut down. That's why now military's involved globally. That's why airports are shut down. That's why now states are on lockdown and people can't get in and out without an ID. And to some people, it's scary. It's like, oh my God, it's New World Order. They're taking over. It's a police state. And yeah, does it smell like that? Of course, it stinks. But if you understand the bigger reason behind it, it makes sense. Things are going to be really good soon. But we have to get there. So the impact, because your question was specific, what impact will this have on human consciousness? I believe we're going through a time where we're coming out of the age of Pisces, which every single age lasts 2,160 years. Age of Pisces. So if you back up to the time of around Jesus Christ that we know the story about, fast forward about 2,160 years, that age of Pisces was all about deception, lies, manipulation, because it's two fish opposing themselves. So everything's fake, everything's two-faced, everything's false, right? So if you look at the wars, if you look at, what the churches did in the name of God, how many people died, right? On and on and on. And how much of history is bullshit, right? We really don't know. So now we're going into what's called the age of Aquarius. Well, in the age of Aquarius, it's all about truth.
I see.
And nothing can stop it. Nothing can stop the truth from coming out. So what's happening today is exactly that movement. The human consciousness is going into truth, and all bad things are going to get washed. Aqua, water. So all the bad things, bad people, bad systems, bad fiat money, governments, royalty, on and on and on. Everybody's getting washed. And the next level will be the earth is also going through. As we're going into the age of Aquarius, we're going from 3D to 5D. I don't know if anybody knows about this stuff, but going into 5D, this is now a conscious place of freedom, of love, It's basically if you remember the hippies back in the 70s, what were they talking about? Age of Aquarius, and then they're happy and colors and rainbows, and then people confuse the rainbows with being gay and the movement. It was all about love and beautiful things. So anyway, so we're going through that now. And every time there's a shift in age, going into Aquarius, our DNA is restructured, updated, because you're in computers, tech.
Right.
So we get updated just like a computer. So we're going through a phenomenal cleansing, and that's why I really believe, as hard as this is right now, as ugly as it is, as scary as it is, my recommendation for everybody is relax. Really good stuff is coming out of this. But as you detox your body, you start taking detox pills and work out, it's going to be painful. Detox, you're going to get headaches and you're not going to feel good because all the shit has to come out.
Yeah.
But at the end, you're going to feel amazing. And this is what we're going through right now. It's a phenomenal, global, universal cleansing. And I'm very excited about it.
I agree completely. I'm on the same page. The way I look at it is, we are going from one place to another. Like, the destination is much cooler. But obviously, as we are on our way, there's going to be like bumps on the road.
Yeah.
There's going to be all kinds of twists and turns. So we just gotta go with the journey.
Absolutely.
So that's great. Now, I think we are just about a few minutes over. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience today? How can they reach out to you? How can they connect with you? And is there any other message you want to share with you?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So, yeah, I appreciate that. So if you text the word badass to 38470, then you'll get into our email list. It'll also give you the website address, and it's right here, badasseryfactory.com. And there you have access to all of my social media handles, my podcasts. I have a podcast show called Who's a Badass? And that's a really cool show because we just talk about fun stuff. So that's how you get a hold of me. Very simple. Outside of that, I'll leave everybody with this, because there is a lot going on in the world. And there's a lot of, again, depending on how you see it, it could be heavy, right? And people at home now have to be at home more with their spouses, and like domestic violence is going through the roof because all of a sudden they have to talk. They have to, you follow me? And it's like, I have some police friends that are like, holy shit, man, people are fighting. Yeah. So here's just one simple little tool that anybody can use on a daily basis. And it's a question called, what's great about it? So when you feel that something heavy is about to kick in, an emotion, a pattern, etc., and there's a problem, go into that problem and ask yourself, okay, cool, that is a theoretical situation. It's a problem. There's no food. There's no water. The wife just yelled at me. But if you learn, instead of going into the problem, which will create another habit and negative emotions, etc., to go into the question of what's great about it, there's opportunity in everything. Just like I found food in a trash can, there's opportunity everywhere. So, for example, well, my wife just called me an asshole and she threw a stick at me. Okay, so it could be a problem. But if you just take a quick little second and say, oh, hold on a second, take a deep breath, let it out and say, okay, cool, but what's great about it? What is there potential here? So maybe why did she throw that? Maybe she's maybe she's scared. Maybe if that's the love of my life and she's scared, what can I do to give her some comfort, to show her some love? Maybe she needs a hug. And automatically we turn that, what could be a horrible thing, like, oh, you throw a fucking stick at me, here's a pillow, here's here's some dishes because they're dirty, you haven't cleaned all day. Right? That's the ego mind. But if I can go into love and say, hold on a second, what's great about it? And it'll shift everything. It'll shift your whole life. And you bring that question to every negative situation in your life, magic. Awesome. That's it.
That's great advice. Great tool, great advice. So, hey guys, if you're listening, if you're watching, please implement this. These tools are, and that is the reason I want to bring some unique guests here who are going to give you, some unique ways of dealing with life. This is real life. Nothing to do with making money, entrepreneurship, profession. This is about designing your life. So use these tools and change your life. Once your life is changed, once you have joy and happiness in your life, you get what you want in terms of money, success. They are just byproducts of implementing all these tools. So do that. And
Amen.
thank you, Andre, for being with us and sharing your story. Such a touching story, such a inspirational story, and you're using that to help others and transform their lives. So thank you so much for what you do and being with us today. Thanks.
Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure.